This is perfect for the Rams. A new 53-man roster projection has just dropped, and we are going to dive into that on this episode of Rams Digest, as well as some very, very shocking and surprising cuts that we need to get into based on this projection. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And we have hit 4,000 subscribers today. The day I'm recording this, August 4th, 2025. We've just hit 4K. Thank you all very much for your continued support. Josh and I greatly appreciate it. Now we are on the road to 5K subscribers, which means that you need to hit that subscribe button right now and click the notification bell, turn it to all so you don't miss a daily new Rams Digest upload covering all things Rams, and you get notified whenever we post. And now to our main story of today. But before that, leave a like on this video for us hitting 4,000 subscribers. What do you look at that? It's a great day here in Rams Digest land right now. And now to our story of today. We have a new 53-man roster projection from Rams Wire post-open practice training camp session. And there are a few changes from their projection that we went over a few weeks ago. So we're going to get into that story right now. In the blink of an eye, the Los Angeles Rams started and finished training camp. They put a bow on their work at Loyola Marymount University on Sunday with their 10th and final practice of camp, packing up and heading back to Woodland Hills where they'll continue prepping for the start of the season. Between now and week 1, the Rams will have 3 preseason games and 2 joint practices, so the work is hardly finished. But they won't be welcoming fans to public practices anymore, and they'll be practicing behind closed doors. Yes, so if you are trying to go see a Rams practice, there are no more fan practices available. So please, sorry, but you are not able to show up. So just make sure you are aware of that. So you don't go to Loyola University thinking, where are the Rams? Yeah, they are not there anymore for this season. If you miss practice, it's okay. You still got the 18 regular season games, first preseason game coming up on Saturday. So all those very, very important deadlines. There are changes at quarterback, running back, and on the O-line compared to our last projection, with some toss-ups at other positions too. Here's how we see things following camp. We're going to head into this list right now. Starting off at the quarterback position, 3 this time instead of 2. You got Matthew Stafford as a starter, Jimmy Garoppolo as your backup, Stetson Bennett as your third string, and they are cutting Dresser Wynn. 2 things led to Bennett making this roster projection. Stafford's back and Bennett's play. Stafford has yet to take a snap since minicamp, which has given Bennett more opportunities to stand out in practice than he originally expected to. And he's taken advantage, showing improved confidence and command of the Rams offense. If he carries that over into preseason, it'll be difficult to cut him. He still doesn't appear to be a successor to Stafford, but it's reasonable to think he could be a future QB2 for the Rams, which would bring stability to that spot for years with Garoppolo getting older and being year-to-year contractually. Yeah, I agree with this. I was very shocked Stetson Bennett was not on the original roster prediction that we saw heading into training camp. And now after this, I fully agree. I do expect Stetson Bennett to get a lot of reps throughout this preseason, especially week 1, because Garoppolo is not going to be playing with a lot of first-team guys week 1. Garoppolo is probably going to play, my guess is around a quarter. We haven't heard from Coach McVay about how the reps are going to go down, but I expect Stetson Bennett to play a lot in this game. And Dresser Wynn, I agree, he's going to get cut. He really didn't have a chance to make the roster, and it's not because of him. It's just because the 3 quarterbacks ahead of him are a lot better, and all 3 of them are already experienced in the system. So the Rams don't really have a reason to keep him on this roster going forward. But I definitely agree with Bennett making this roster. I've agreed with it from the past as well. So comment that down below right now, whether you agree with that or not, because Stafford's back is in a weird spot. We got an update from Coach McVay today that he's doing static throwing. He's not really moving just yet, and a lot of days it's limited to just him walking. So we are definitely in a weird spot with that. So it's going to be very important for Bennett to be on this roster and be a positive contributor. And now at the running back position as well, quite a shocker. Only 3. You got Kyren Williams as the starter, Blake Corum as your second string, and Jarquez Hunter as your third string. And cut are Ronnie Rivers, Cody Schrader, and Jordan Waters. After initially projecting the Rams to keep 4 running backs, we've now trimmed it down to 3. Williams, Corum, and Hunter are all starting caliber backs, and it seems like the Rams plan to use each of them this season. I do agree. I do think those 3 are the clear top 3 running backs, but Ronnie Rivers is a guy who, if needed, if you're missing your top 2, he's important to keep on this roster. The other 2 are going to get cut regardless, in my opinion. But not having Ronnie Rivers is definitely quite interesting, because if the Rams are going to use all three of these guys and one of them gets hurt, it's going to be very important to have a fourth running back either on the roster or on the practice squad, where I do believe Ronnie Rivers would be if he did end up getting cut. That should keep everyone fresh, and while it's naturally a physical position that wears people down, the Rams can afford to go thin with just those running backs on the active roster, and perhaps use one or two on the practice squad, as I just mentioned. Rivers will be a tough player to cut, and the Rams like Schrader enough to keep him all season in 2024, but Corum and Hunter are two quality backups. Yeah, I agree. Those two are definitely going to be the main backups for this Rams team. And Ronnie Rivers is the only other guy who I could really see getting any playing time at all, but I like this as I do think one of those guys will be on the practice squad from the people who end up getting cut. And now we have to get into wide receiver. We got 6 of them on the roster. You got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Xavier Smith, Kenona Mumpfield. And in the cuts, you got Britton Covey, Mario Williams, Drake Stoops, Drew Edwards, and Brennan Presley. Not really too many surprises here. Mumpfield has been a playmaker in practice so far and has almost approached lock territory, especially as a drafted rookie. Smith has seemingly been getting more run with the offense than Covey has, and though both are return specialists, Smith's impact on offense is likely to be greater. The toughest decision here could come down to Smith or Covey, largely because of their ability to contribute on special teams. Yeah, I agree that Mumpfield is kind of in lock territory. Again, I think he's going to play a lot early in preseason. I can't wait to see what he does on Saturday versus the Cowboys. Unlike this video right now, as we are officially in preseason week 1 here for the Rams, and I do think Mumpfield is going to be a key contributor throughout preseason. Again, as you know, I'm a Mario Williams guy. I was a huge fan of his at USC, had a good year at Tulane. I think he's a practice squad guy to watch if the Rams don't want to keep a specific return man, because I saw Turf Show Times also did a 53-man roster projection. If you want to check that out after this video, go ahead. Where they didn't have Smith or Covey making the team. They only kept 5 receivers because they said that the Rams wouldn't want to keep somebody just as a returner. And that could make sense. And in my video yesterday, I talked about how Corum's been being used as a special teamer. Jarquez Hunter has experience with that. So does Whittington. And we'll see how this ends up shaking out. And leave a comment down below what you think about this wide receiver group. And now we have to get into some key positions here for this Rams team. We got tight end and O-line. And at tight end, we have 4 making the roster: Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen. And cut are Anthony Torres and Mark Redmond. No surprises here, and this is unlikely to change. Allen has been a real bright spot in practice and could push for playing time, especially if the Rams use 12 personnel more often this year. It's hard to see them cutting any of their top 4 tight ends, and it would be a huge surprise if Torres or Redmond make the team, unless it's strictly for special teams value. Yeah, I don't think those other 2 guys are making the team. I'm sorry, I don't even know if they're going to be on the practice squad. But I do expect the Rams to run more of that 12 personnel this year, as we've been hinting to all throughout the offseason, really, from McVay to Mike LaFleur, Stafford, Higbee, Ferguson. All of them have kind of said how excited they are to run that 12 personnel. Again, the Colby Parkinson contract is something we've talked about on this channel, that maybe he does get traded and maybe one of those guys makes the team because of that, but there's no official rumors on that. Although the contract's not great for Parkinson, he's at least a serviceable tight end to have on the roster. And when running 12 personnel, it's important to have 4 tight ends on this roster, because I do believe 12 personnel really can help take this Rams offense to even greater heights. And now we have to go to the offensive line, where there's definitely been some drama this offseason. We got Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein, Bo Limmer, DJ Humphries, Justin Dedich, David Quisenberry, and Warren McClendon Jr. In cut are Dylan McMahon, AJ Arcuri, Wyatt Bowles, Willie Lampkin, and Ben Dooley. Definitely some interesting names here to be cut. The O-line is really difficult to project, partly because of Jackson's uncertain status. If he's fully healthy, the Rams could probably pick 2 between Humphries, Quisenberry, and McClendon. McVay praised all 3 on Sunday, specifically highlighting Quisenberry and McClendon's ability to play left and right tackle. Humphries did get $2.34 million fully guaranteed, though, so that does help his case. McVay also mentioned Dedich as a player who's gotten some opportunities in practice, which could have put him ahead of McMahon on the interior. McMahon will be a tough player to cut, as will a former 7th rounder in Arcuri, but the Rams just have too much depth across the board, which is why they have some difficult decisions on the horizon. Yeah, and if we go back to looking at this list, Dedich is definitely a surprising include over Arcuri. And McMahon, again, McClendon, I think, is going to be on the team. I think DJ Humphries and Quisenberry have to be on this team. Again, the only thing I would maybe change is you take AJ Arcuri over Justin Dedish, but I do like the other 9 names on this. So comment that down below right now as well, your thoughts on the O-line and who they should keep. Because the Jackson injury does change some things. I don't believe he'll be on the PUP list based on where he is or on the injured reserve. So I do think there are going to be some tougher decisions there because I can sense that Jackson is going to be at least healthy enough to not be on a designated injury list for multiple weeks heading into this season based on where he already is and based on what Coach McVay has said already. And now we have to get into the defensive side of the ball where there are definitely some more shocking cuts being made here as well based on this projection. And on the defensive line, we got 6 players. You got Kobe Turner, Poona Ford, Braden Fisk, Tyler Davis, Ty Hamilton, and Larrell Murchison. In cut, you got Desjuan Johnson, Bill Norton, DeJoun Terry, Decarius Hawthorne, and Jack Heflin. Murchison and Johnson could be battling for one spot on the roster because the top 5 are locked in. The Rams might even go with those 5 and just try to keep 1 or 2 D linemen on the practice squad. None of the undrafted rookies have made a big splash in practice based on the reports from camp, so they're likely to miss the cut. Murchison versus Johnson is the battle to watch as the season approaches. Yeah, Desjuan Johnson and Decarius Hawthorne are definitely some names to watch on that list. I was a big Bill Norton guy out of Texas. The big guy out of Texas is a nice run stuffer, but I just don't know if he's fully going to be an every down player. I can see him being on the practice squad along with one of Hawthorne and Johnson. Murchison over Johnson is interesting because Johnson is a former 7th round pick, so we'll see exactly how that goes. But those top 5 are all locked in, as they said. And I wouldn't be shocked if one of those are guys who were cut are on the practice squad. So comment that down below right now, what you think of those cuts as we get into our next position group. The outside linebacker group, we got 5. We got Jared Verse, Byron Young, Josiah Stewart, Nick Hampton, and Brennan Jackson. And cut are Kara Thomas, Josh Percy, and Jamil Muhammad. Thomas was a tough player to cut in this projection, especially after McVay highlighted him in this weekend's press conference. Jackson hasn't made much noise in practice either, but he's a former 5th round pick who's only in his 2nd season, so waiving him would be difficult. The top 3 are all locked in, and Hampton should make the team too, likely leaving 1 or 2 spots left within this group. Yeah, again, I fully agree with these guys. Again, Brennan Jackson and Nick Hampton are a little bit interchangeable. If you want a guy like Keith Thomas or Josh Percy, I don't see Jamil Muhammad making a big impact on this team. I kind of agree with him being cut, and I don't see any of these guys making the practice squads either. And now we got to go to inside linebacker. We got 4. We got Nate Landman, Omar Space, Troy Reeder, and Chris Paul Jr. Cut are Sean Dolak, Elias Neal, and Tony Fields II. When Landman exited Saturday's practice with an injury, it was Reeder who stepped in. Paul just returned to practice after dealing with a calf injury, so he's not ready to fully contribute yet, putting Reeder ahead of him on the depth chart. Yeah, I do agree that because of Chris Paul Jr.'s injury that he is definitely lower down on the depth chart, but I would not be shocked at all if we do get Sean Dolak on the practice squad if he gets cut, just because we've seen just how important linebacking cores are. You got the Broncos, the Chiefs have a decent linebacking core, the Bucs still got Levante David, Commanders Bobby Wagner, Cowboys, if they can keep Micah Parsons, will have a decent linebacking core as well. Obviously the Ravens, the Eagles, all these teams with contenders, the Bills as well. All these contending teams have elite linebacking cores, and it's going to be very important for the Rams to have that if they want to get to their goal of winning the Super Bowl and dethroning the Eagles, because that's really one of the main reasons why the Rams couldn't win, was that lack of linebacker depth. So we will see just how important that is heading into this season. Landman, Spates, Reeder, and Paul all seem likely to make the team, and 4 inside linebackers is more than enough given how frequently the Rams use 3 safety sets on the back end. Jalen McCullough has even gotten reps as a dime backer, which helps this group. That's very interesting. The biggest question is whether Paul Dolak can overtake Reeder by the end of the preseason. Well, Chris Paul Jr. is on the team. I mean, we needed to draft a linebacker. I think it's whether Dolak overtakes Reeder, because Chris Paul Jr. is going to be on the team. I think that's set. I think Dolak is really the only guy who has a shot to overtake Reeder in this projection. Leave that in the comments as well down below right now, what you think about this linebacking core going forward into next season. And now we have the cornerback room, another room full of controversy. We got 5. We got Darius Williams, Akella Witherspoon, Kobe Durant, Emmanuel Forbes Jr., and Darion Kendrick. And cut are Charles Woods, Josh Wallace, Sean Jolly, Cam Lampkin, and AJ Green. Williams, Witherspoon, and Durant are all going to make the team. After that, it gets more challenging to predict. Forbes has gotten first-team reps, and although he's dealing with a hamstring strain, it shouldn't sideline him for too long or take him out of the running for a roster spot. Yeah, going into this preseason, I was not one of the people who thought that Emmanuel Forbes had a legitimate shot to make this roster, but it seems like he's been playing really, really well. He has that injury right now, so we will see how that plays out for the future. Kendrick knows the system and is coming back from a torn ACL that caused him to miss all of last year, but his contract has no guaranteed money, and there's a ton of competition within this cornerback group. It's not crazy to think the Rams could just keep 4 true corners, especially with Quentin Lake standing as the slot defender. Yeah, I can definitely see that here as we go back to this original list. The top 3 are safe. Again, both Josh Wallace and Sean Jolly being cut are very, very surprising. It's either Emmanuel Forbes or Darion Kendrick that would have to get cut here for me to keep Wallace or Jolly, but based on the way practice has been going, I do agree with this right now. So comment down below right now whether you agree or not. And if you don't agree, what would you change? And in the safety room, you got the 4 easy ones: Cameron Curl, Quentin Lake, Cameron Kitchens, and Jalen McCullough. You cut Tanner Engel, Nate Valcarel, and Malik Dixon Williams. McVay heaped praise on McCullough's versatility and value to the team in training camp, so he's a virtual lock like the other 3 safeties ahead of him. After McCullough, you got the group of Engel, Valcarel, and Dixon Williams. It's on shaky ground because the Rams don't need 5 safeties with all the talent and versatility they have. No, they do not. And as we just read earlier, McCullough is taking reps as a dime back, which is very, very interesting to see, because if he could play that as well for the Rams, that really opens up this defense for them a lot. So comment down below your thoughts on that, because I think that is a very interesting tidbit that we just learned here from this Rams Wire article. And those 4 safeties, I think, yeah, they're all locks. We know that. I saw another article keep Valcarel, and because they say the Turf Show Times article says that Chris Shula is really going to value his safeties, and I can see maybe him getting on, but I do think those 4 safeties are just so much better than the others that they're going to really be the only ones on this team making a significant impact. Maybe one of those guys gets practice squatted like a Valcarel, but besides that, I don't really see anything happening there. And on special teams, you got the big 3. Kicker Joshua Carty. Like this video for that name Joshua. Great name. Punter Ethan Evans. And long snapper Alex Ward. Yeah, no changes here. Makes sense. All those guys are great at their jobs. Keep them on the team. And that is that for this article and 53-man roster projection. Before cuts need to be made the weekend of August 21st through 23rd. That is the day that cuts need to be made. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching as always. We just hit 4,000 subscribers, so thank you again for all of your support. And hit that subscribe button right now and click that notification bell. Turn it to all so you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest uploads covering all things Rams. And you get notified whenever we post. Leave a like on this video for us hitting 4K. Leave a like for Rams preseason action starting up this weekend. And leave a like for this 53-man roster projection. Very well-written article here from Rams Wire. And also, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on the Stetson Bennett edition, your thoughts on the O-line, your thoughts on the cornerback room, as well as the defensive line and linebacker rooms. Leave your comments down below. I'm going to be looking and responding as always. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. Thank you for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.